Aloha, everyone. I'm Abaya, and I'm very grateful to be leading this practice today. Our energetic focus is going to be on the heart and specifically bringing our awareness there and trying to relax and allow the expansion to naturally occur. And our physical theme is going to focus around the shoulders. Does everybody have a strap? Or some kind of scarf or something. Okay, so before we, I just want to play with something right away. So you can grab your strap and place it in front of you. Make sure you're in a comfortable seated position, whatever that means for you. It's more important what your arms are doing here, so I don't really care how you're sitting. And then place the strap ahead of you. My strap's really long, so I have it folded in half. If your legs are crossed, sometimes grabbing right in front of the knees ends up being a good position. And then let the strap go and just take a moment to find your seat. If you want to grab a blanket for underneath the sits bones, that's fine. And let's actually circle around the sits bones a few times so you can feel that shifting pressure at the base of the pelvis, just allowing the whole body to adjust and accommodate as this is impacting the hip socket, the spine, everything above and below. And then let the circles eventually change directions. And let the circles get smaller and smaller until you're upright, playing with finding equal balance in the sits bones and a sensation almost like the circles happening microscopically, helping to decompress the spine. And bring your focus into the center of the heart. And allow the breath to massage the heart. This can be a physical experience. It might start to feel subtler. It kind of depends on each of us. And try to resist the urge to push the breath into the heart. Instead, it's almost like how a wave just naturally rolls up on the beach. Just effortlessly, naturally, and then it just gently recedes. And each time the sand becomes smooth, any imperfections evaporate. Let the breath be like that ebb and flow of the ocean, massaging the heart. And recently, Babaji was teaching to feel the heart space naturally expand as you inhale. So it is gentle, it's relaxed. And then as you exhale, even though the breath is exiting the body, the focus stays right at that single point in the center of the heart. And just take a few breaths to play with that. This is what I'm going to call the heart breath for the rest of class. So if I cue to take a heart breath, it means to observe the inhale, to feel any possibility of spaciousness with the heart and beyond. And then to use the exhale to drop inside to that deepest core of the heart. And continue to play with the heart breath as you reach for your strap, moving as slowly as you need to let the breath and the inner focus come first and the physical movement second. Slowly start to lengthen the hands apart and notice how the musculature on the outside of the arms and the back body gently engages. We don't want anything to be forceful here. See if you can use this gentle engagement to allow the shoulders to drip down the back so that the collarbone's slightly open. Most of us have a slightly inward posture, and so this can just help fire up the back slightly. And then slowly start to lift the arms overhead with this evenness, right? We don't want to feel it in this part of the shoulders. We really want it to feel like the back muscles are effortlessly allowing the arms to come overhead. And if you ever need to separate the hands more, please try that. And when you make it to the top, see if you can relax a little bit so there's not so much effort. And take a heart breath here and feel how the heart is the base or the anchor of this arm positioning. When we come into this arm positioning in different poses, see if you can revisit this experience where the heart, the breath, the energetic aspect of your practice comes first, and the physical movement is almost just like the icing on the cake. And then let the hands separate more, so this is more gentle. Start to push down into the left sit bone so that the whole left side of the body lengthens, and try to feel how this sensation can go through the whole left side of the body. If you're feeling it a lot in the shoulders, come back up, push down into the sit bone, and don't pull so hard with the arms. Notice a sense of evenness through the spine. And then come back up to center. Switch the cross of the legs. Doesn't matter which one was in front, but just to bring balance to the body, and then go the other way. And let's take one more to each side. Trying to keep the focus at the heart. And then come back up to center. You can slowly release the strap down as if it was like a sacred karate belt or something, and you're really like honoring. And then just notice the sensation across not just the shoulders, but the whole chest from the front and the back. And if you're feeling more on the front or more on the back, next time we use the strap, just set the intention to bring more attention to the opposite side so that you'll feel more balanced between front and back sides. And now let's turn to the right and slowly start to melt onto the back. If you're following along with the music, you can hit play on the first track, and you're going to take a mini Savasana to absorb that work in the shoulders. And bring the hands to the belly. And just start to feel the natural expansion and contraction of the belly. And the belly moves and expands when we're very relaxed. And so hopefully that's happening for you right now. And if it's not, see if you can soften. See if you can gently guide the breath into the belly and try to feel the three-dimensionality of this breath. So it's not just the belly expanding, but the side body opening and even the low back expanding as well. And if you breathe into the low back, you might even have a sensation like the spine can decompress a little bit. And observe your next few breaths with as little effort or force as possible. And then slide your hands up to the rib cage. Bend your knees, placing the soles of the feet onto the floor. Walk them a little wider so you can knock the knees in, and take a few pelvic tilts here. And so as the pelvis tips forward, that's going to create a curve in the lumbar spine, an increased curve, right? Because you naturally have a curve there. And notice a sense of the belly arching, right? Kind of lifting up into the fingertips. And it probably feels quite soft underneath the fingertips, right? Because the core is not really engaging much. And then as the pelvis tilts back, you might notice a gentle contraction under the fingertips. You might notice some flattening of the low back into the floor. Let this movement get smaller and smaller until you find middle ground. And for me, when I'm in that center point, there is a little bit of contraction underneath my fingertips because the deep core is engaged to keep my pelvis neutral. Keeping this neutral, start to breathe into the hands, letting the rib cage open to left and right sides. You might notice the belly stays more level instead of puffing out like in the first breathing exercise. And try to feel the rib cage expanding again all the way around. So not just left and right, but also through the back side of the rib cage, everything opening. And this is how we breathe when our core is more engaged, right? The core limits the expansion of the belly. And this actually forces the diaphragm to work a little harder in a good way. When the diaphragm works harder, we actually become more efficient breathers. The diaphragm is a key muscle in the deep core, so our core gets stronger. Your singing voice even gets stronger. Just observe a few breaths here, resisting the urge to intensify anything. And then walk the fingertips up to the heart. Make sure the arms feel comfortable so you can tuck the arms into the side or let the elbows be wider, whatever just feels best for your neck and shoulders. And let's take a few of those heart breaths. So drawing attention to the heart center, letting that space naturally expand. Happens on a physical level, right, with the breath, but you can almost ride that physical wave and feel the subtler expansion that's possible. And then when you exhale, even though the physical body does contract, see if you can continue to feel that expansion that happened. Your subtle body doesn't have to contract even though the physical is. And just play with that for a few breaths. And then bring the hands down to the hip points. Let the fingers come just inside the points of the hips, so that's the soft tissue of the low belly. Find your level pelvis. Hover the feet parallel to the earth. Seal the sacrum down. Seal the lumbar vertebra down so that the core is active, and then release just a few percentages so that the superficial muscles aren't over engaging. With your next exhale, tap the left foot down and notice how the tissues underneath the fingertips tighten like the top of a drum. And then inhale back up. Take a few on your own and try to feel almost like all your consciousness going down into the bowl of the pelvis and noticing what muscles are actually engaging. You don't have to know the names of them, but maybe you can feel some areas in the low part of the core, maybe down in the base of the pelvis, that's the pelvic floor, the back side of the pelvis. And then the next time one foot taps down, let the other foot tap down. Reach the hands towards the heels. Walk the heels in just a little bit. Anchor the big toes, and any amount that feels good to you. Start to lift the hips up just to give your body a nice counter pose for that movement. And then start to circle the hips. And as you circle the hips, notice how the weight shifts from one shoulder blade to the other. And here the rib cage is massaging the underside of the shoulder blades. There's actual muscles between the shoulder blades and the rib cage. And so just play with using this movement to almost smear the rib cage alongside the scapula, right? You couldn't massage these muscles from the outside, but you can massage them from the inside. If you ever get tired, you can place the pelvis back down and take a break, take a heart breath. And let's just take a couple more breaths. And then gently drape the spine down one vertebra at a time. Extend the legs. Option to keep the arms where they are or slowly snow angel them overhead. Feel how the shoulder blades rotate to allow the arms to lengthen up at any angle. It can be a Y or straight up. And soften. Because we're going to do a lot of things with the shoulders, please make sure that each thing you do very gently, and then your shoulders will be happy at the end of class. But if you use a lot of effort in the shoulders, they'll get tired and they won't really want to keep doing work. So less is definitely more here. One more pause, breath. Bring the soles of the feet back to the earth as they were. Interlace the hands and then flip the palms away from you. And that's going to be easier with your elbows deeply bent. With the fingers interlaced, play with drawing the elbows away from one another, so that's laterally further away from the ears, and just notice how the muscles in the arms and shoulders engage, and then relax that. Float the legs up and keep the knees deeply bent at first. Take a moment here. You can wiggle the sacrum around a little bit. And then we're going to play with extending the arms, which means pushing the hands towards the wall behind you. Take a couple of those. And then we'll do this at the same time with the legs. So on the next exhale, push the hands away and flex the feet. And try to allow the spine to lengthen as you do this. Inhale, soften knees, soften elbows. And then exhale to push and lengthen and feel any sense of connectivity from the soles of the feet, up the back of the legs, into the low back, all the way up, maybe even into the arms. If you feel this in one part of the body, continue on with your own breath, like namely in the shoulders or namely in the back. See if you can soften more on the inhale, finding that expansion like the heart breath. And then as you exhale, keep that feeling of softness as you slowly and gently extend, maybe not going as far. And the next time you extend, if it feels okay, stay there for a moment. Take a few breaths through the backside of the body. And then play, uninterlace the hands and play with slowly kicking one foot forward. You might not be able to go all the way. You can always bend the knees like the toe taps at the beginning. But if it feels good, see if you can lower that leg without any clicking or popping in the hip. If that went well, you can try the other leg. If that wasn't comfortable, just keep both legs down. That's just fine. And then let's lower both legs, lower the arms. And again, just pause and absorb that experience. Glide the heels in, reach the hands towards the heels, walk the feet a little wider, and just take a few slow windshield wipers, massaging the low back. Start to play with gazing away from the knees and try to feel how the movement of the neck relates to the spine, relates to the hips, and relates to the changing movement of the legs. See if this awareness helps you brighten through the core. So it's not just the head moving and the legs moving, but it's almost like a wringing out action through the whole body. That twisting happening evenly from the bottom of the spine all the way up, or rather the knees all the way up. And then come back to center. Slowly circle the left arm overhead and allow the knees to fall to the left so you can roll onto the left side and rest your head on your arm. Enjoy a moment of stillness and change any angles in arms or legs so that your joints feel as comfortable as possible. And then take a few heart breaths and notice just how breathing consciously begins to massage the arm and the rib cage from the inside out. And as the nervous system relaxes, notice if it's a little easier to feel the heart. Notice if it's a little easier to soften there. Let the right hand come a little further forward and start to melt the body forward, melt the body back, and imagine the left side of the body is not totally solid anymore. It's like in a semi-solid state where it can ooze and adapt. You could fill any container and take the shape of it. If you notice anywhere in the body that feels tight right now, see if you can direct your awareness there. Imagine directing the consciousness of your breath there. And use this literal massage to try to soften from the inside out. Most tight muscles are neurological, and so we don't soften them by fighting with them, but rather by opening inside, trusting, feeling safe, feeling relaxed, and then maybe they start to soften. And come to stillness, let yourself just be. Notice how it feels to just be. Notice if that's comfortable. Notice if it's uncomfortable without judgment. And then start to push yourself up. If it is not comfortable to sit sideways on the hips like this, you can grab a blanket and place it underneath your left hip and change the knees to or legs to any angle that is comfortable for you. Let's pad out the hands a little bit. On Saturday in the 200-hour training, we're going to be talking about the shoulders. And in 10 days, we have our upper level shoulders training starting. So it's an exciting time for the upper body now here at Konalani. So we'll definitely have a lot of emphasis on this in the coming weeks. So as you pad out the hands here, try to be really natural. Like, don't tell your hands what to do. Don't tell your knuckles what to do. Just notice what happens naturally. Make sure the wrists feel supported. Make sure the elbows, the shoulders, the neck feel supported. And usually less is more. Can walk your hands over to the right a little bit, over to the left. Explore. And what's so cool about this free exploration, it might seem really simple, but as you walk your hands around, the way that the arms are interacting with the shoulders, the back body, the chest is slightly changing. So you're waking up more of your musculature. You might start to feel a little warmth. If it's too much in the hands and wrists, walk the hands closer to you, and then there will be less weight in them. Try bringing more weight to the pinky side of the hand, kind of like a karate chop action. Let the knuckles be slightly domed. And then walk the hands all the way in and take a moment to, I was going to say pose. So yeah, just whatever that means for you. Take a moment to pose. Oh, that was good, Roseanne. And notice any warmth in the arms. And then gently twist to the left. The right hand can rest on the left thigh. Left fingertips can graze your blanket or the floor. Push the legs down into the earth and notice how the spine rebounds, and see if you can gently and evenly twist from the bottom of the spine all the way up. Head and neck follow. And then untwist just a little bit and slouch a little bit, letting the spine round. Let's take a few of these twisting and lengthening. And then I should say relaxing. Slouching is it's like a bad word in yoga. Relaxing, softening. And imagine with this pulsation, that same activity in the heart. The inhale helping you find that heart expansion. And the exhale helping you burrow down into the depths of the heart. Almost as if these physical actions were occurring at that deep level of the heart. And then slowly come up to center and kick the legs forward. If you used your blanket, place it over to the side for now and just pause so that you can witness how the left side of your body feels. And if Dandasana is not a comfortable place to pause, you can lean back a little bit. Notice any sense of support, spaciousness. Even sometimes I feel like my whole left side is connected. I can't pinpoint a single muscle. It just feels like one living, breathing, connected muscular entity. And then we'll bring the legs over to the other side. Move your props out of the way if you need to. And we're coming back onto the back on the second side. And I really love this moment. So enjoy the pathway down. Walk the hands forward and then let the right arm feed through so you melt down. You're on your side for a moment. Eventually, we'll make our way onto our back and we'll spread out, but really try to take your time. Imagine you're like a bar of chocolate starting to melt slowly in the sun. And then when you finally make it into your chocolate puddle, let yourself just be. Arms can be anywhere that's comfortable. And bend the knees, walk the soles of the feet in, reach the hands towards the heels, find your level pelvis, and just take a couple of the toe taps from before just to make sure you're connecting with your deep core. If you want to push it a little bit by extending the foot further forward, you're welcome to do that as long as the low back doesn't arch. And then we'll play with my favorite way to explore my core recently. Extend the legs overhead, point the toes, and start to draw circles with the legs. And notice how these circles engage different areas around the low back and the deep abdominals. Play with reaching the feet a little further forward. You don't want any clicks in the hips as you do that. And then play with reaching the feet further, like over one shoulder, over the head, and see if you can start to lift the sacrum and the low back away from the floor. It's okay if you can't. It's going to be different for everyone. And just explore these different areas of the core. And you can use the arms here if you want a little more lift. just make sure you can breathe and make sure you don't feel any strain in the neck, in the shoulders, in the back as you push the arms down. If you are pushing the arms down, favor the pinky side of the arms. That's going to turn on the triceps and the lats. And when you've had enough, set the feet down, let the body soften completely. Take a few of those heart breaths. Bend the knees, soles of feet to the floor, reach the right arm overhead. Option for a couple of windshield wipers, and then we'll roll onto the right side and start to massage the right side of the body. Close the eyes if it helps you focus down into the heart. And take an extra moment just to notice how the arm and the shoulder feel, the connections between the arm and the back body and the chest. And then start to push into the front hand, slide the back hand in, paw your way up. We'll explore, just like we did before, walking the hands a little to the left, a little forward, a little to the right, a little in. And let this be really gentle. And again, I find it really helpful. Let's try, imagine, or just karate chop the floor with the pinky side of the hand. And then gently let the fingertips come to the earth. And that's how I have the most support in my wrists without any pressure. Sometimes when we push the knuckles down, we create a lot of tension in the inside of the wrist. On the second side, you might feel like you have a little extra space. If you want to reach forward a little bit more, that's totally fine. If you ever need a break, you can bring the forearms down. And then eventually walk the hands all the way in. Adjust the legs. If you want to use your blanket again, that's always on the table. And we'll explore Bharadvajasana by pressing the legs down and gently starting to twist away from the feet. And I find it useful to twist from the bottom up because it's easiest to twist from the neck. It's hardest to twist from the low back. And so this will ensure that you're getting a more even twist. Take a couple of breaths in the twist. And then as you exhale, slightly come out of it and relax, gently curving the spine so the front edge of the body sucks into the back edge of the body. And then inhale, inflate, push the legs down, let everything expand and spiral. And take a couple on your own. And the next time you're in the twist, pause there and just notice any sense of space across the chest. Notice any engagement across the back of the arms and the back body. Notice how this orientation of the shoulder girdle resting on the ribcage might free up the neck. You can take some figure eights with the crown of the head to just explore the sensations across the neck. And then just for symmetry, take a moment in Dandasana. Take a heart breath. You can always use the fingers at the heart if you need some tactile feedback. And then set up your blanket so that you can kneel on it. Slowly turn to the right and bring the knees onto the blanket and bring your blocks nearby. If you'd like to grab a sip of water, go for it. I'm going to. These roses are real. They're really amazing. I'm going to bring them closer so you can see. Look at that. They're actually real. I know it's not actually believable, but they are. Roseanne knows. She saw them in real life. Yeah, you can go to the next track. Okay. So from kneeling, flatten the tops of the feet and start to play with your rocking pelvis. I like to have my hands on my hips so that I can literally feel the angle of my ilium. These are the big bones of the pelvis. And then try to find neutral. Keep the hands at the front of the hips and take some gentle rock backs. And remember, everything stays neutral. It's just the knees that bend. Try it on the exhale. See if you can do a heart breath while you do this. And the next time you come forward, place the right foot to the outside of the blocks, lower the hands to the blocks, and start to circle the hips. Anchor the right big toe. And imagine you're trying to explore the hip socket from every single angle. So you want to wiggle your tailbone around a little bit. You can go in both directions. You want to find a spot where the femur, the thigh bone, interacts with the hip socket that maybe you've never been at that angle before. And there shouldn't be any pain. There shouldn't even be too much sensation. It's almost like really, hopefully, glidey and slippery and not stretchy. And then tuck the back toes under. Square up so the shoulders are over the wrist, but try keeping the wrists soft, fingertips soft like we did before. And on your exhale, slowly lift the back knee, extend through the back leg. Make some circles with the hips here now, trying to feel how the legs interact with one another to evenly support the hips. And then circle the other way. Place the back knee down and push into the hands, round the spine like a cat pose. Use that strength, push down into the back knee and slowly send the hips forward, rolling the spine up one vertebra at a time. Let the arms reach up and circle wide. Make one more circle, let the arms land at the top. And then I'm going to turn so you can see this. Drop the right arm and slowly push into the left knee to side bend over to the right. With your next exhale, hover the right arm. Inhale, drop the arm and come to neutral. Exhale, side bend and lift at the same time. Take a few of these and try to feel how the deep core awakens on the arm hover and how you can feel the side bend all the way down into that left hip. The next time you come up, grab your block with your right hand. Do the same thing, but this time as you side bend, let the right hand stay on the block and gently roll the heart forward and back to get some shearing through the left side of the body. And I'll do that from the side too. Just nice, beautiful. And then press evenly into both legs. Find neutral, and with an exhale, hover the right arm back up. press evenly into both legs. Take one moment to extend through the spine. And then release the hands forward. Grab both blocks underneath the hands and step back to a plank pose. The reason I like having the hands on the blocks is it's less stable. So more muscles in your arms have to engage. Something Satyam likes to do is change the levels of the blocks. You can play with that. Try to breathe into the heart. And just like we practice with our arms and the straps, try to notice how the work with the arms can help you connect to your heart. Bring them to the highest height. Actually, no. Bring them to the lowest height. Make you do it a couple more times. Take a moment to press back into downward facing dog. And it should feel a little easier with the hands on the blocks because naturally more weight's going to be in the legs. So notice if you can be a little softer through the hands, through the shoulders. Push into the hands and see if you can feel how the pushing into the hands relates to the spine all the way down to the low back. It's almost like a triangle. The tailbone is one point of the triangle and each hand is the other 2 points. Let's draw some circles coming forward into plank and then circling back into down dog. And then lower the knees. We're coming into Bhaktasana, and that can be really nice with the block under the forehead, so you're welcome to try that, or just however you like Bhaktasana. Because of all the shoulder work, circle the arms behind you, and either bring the backs of the hands to the floor besides the feet, or lift the hips, grab one wrist, and then place the legs on top of the arms for a little shoulder traction. And I'm noticing with that, I do not like the block, so feel free to take it away. As you breathe and the rib cage expands, try to feel how it rises up into the shoulder girdle. And then lift the hips, release the arms, float back up to table, bring your blocks to the highest height, walk the knees forward, and come all the way up to a high kneel. Take a couple of rock backs. And then this time, let your left foot step outside of the blocks. Bring your hands down to the blocks and start to circle the hips. Push ever so gently down with the legs and down with the arms, and notice how the body gets a little lighter when you do that. Notice if you aren't sinking in the hip sockets so much. There's maybe more of a sense of support around the hips. I find that almost everyone needs more support in the hips. Try moving a little slower. That actually takes more muscular intelligence and more focus and more strength. And then feel free to turn towards me, because I think the next part of the sequence is a little bit easier if you can see what I'm doing. So we'll start by walking the hands in slightly. Keep the hands on the blocks. Take a moment in cat pose and try to feel how it's cat through the whole body, not just the spine. So notice how the hamstrings pull down on the back of the pelvis, the quads and rectus abdominis lift up slightly. And then press down into the feet to slowly roll up. Pushing the hips forward will help stack the spine one vertebra at a time, and let the arms follow the trajectory of the spine. And we'll do one more time without the blocks. And then the next time the arms are up, pause there. Press down into the right knee to lengthen the whole right side of the body. Float the left arm down. And then as you exhale, lift the arm. The inhale is going to drop the arm and bring the body up simultaneously. And then exhale, side bend as the arm floats. You don't need to go very far to feel how the core works in the side bend with the arm float. I'm noticing I need a shorter stance here, so give yourself that permission as well. And the next time you come up, grab left block with left hand. Place it, actually just hold it in the left hand. Come back into the side bend, and hopefully the block can make it to the floor without any strain. And then stay there. Give yourself permission to lean into the block a little bit. Let the hips press a little bit without any strain. And then gently point the heart down towards the left hand and then up towards the sky. And as you make this movement, it's for the whole right side of the body, all the way down the outer right thigh. And so try to move in a way that helps you feel how your body's connected. And the next time you come to center, come onto the left fingertips. Exhale, gently squeeze the thighs together to unweight the body, and then float all the way up, bringing the block back. I'll turn to where we came from. Step back to your plank pose. If you liked playing with the heights of the blocks, you're welcome to do that again. You're also welcome to take a rest pose or just breathe. Take some heart breaths in a static plank. And then let's all meet in plank with our hands on the blocks and start to walk the feet forward towards the blocks, bending the knees really deeply so there's no strain here. If it's comfortable, you can drape the body over the thighs. Hands can stay on blocks or come to the floor. Let the head hang heavy. Anchor the big toes. Take a couple of heart breaths. And then walk the hands up onto the blocks. Take a cat pose through the spine, just like we practiced in Anjaneyasana. And then start to send the hips forward, rolling up one vertebra at a time, really trying to feel how the musculature in the front of the body is supporting and creating space on the spine, so there's no compression in the vertebra, even though you're rolling up. If you want the arms to follow like we did in Anjaneyasana, you can. And let's take one more mini version of that. So bend the knees, cat through the spine, and then press the hips forward to let the whole body like wave like a ribbon in rhythmic gymnastics. Do a couple of those and try going slower and see if you can actually feel the progression from the bottom, from the pelvis pushing forward to one vertebra at a time, waving up. You can pause with the arms overhead and imagine you're holding the strap like we did at the beginning of class, and notice the strength in the arms naturally. Like you don't even need the strap because those muscles are just there supporting you. And it's okay if that's not your experience. You're welcome to actually grab the strap if that would be helpful. And let's take a couple of heart breaths here. And then relax the arms down. Move the blanket out of the way. Place the blocks at the opposite end of the mat. Grab your strap and turn to your right, so the way that you're facing before I told you to move the blocks. If you've got a super long strap like me, fold it in half and then grab it. The distance from the knee to the hip is about right for me. According to Da Vinci, that's probably the same for everyone, so like proportionally, so you can try that. And then relax the arms down. Feel the shoulder blades ever so gently squeezing together pull the strap with the hands, and that might help that feeling occur. And walk forward just a little bit, and we'll come into chair pose. So anchor the big toes, crease at the hips, sending the hips back into chair, and then sweep the arms overhead really gently, and try to feel how the work with the strap helps you reach a little bit more through the sits bones. We're engaging our lats here. The hands can glide wider if they need to. And then straighten the legs, drop the strap down, and push the strap into the thighs. So like all the hands are trying to reach back, but they can't. And notice how the muscles in the back of the arms and the back body engage. Stay neutral through pelvis and spine. Let's do this a couple of times on your own. If you want to breathe, I recommend inhaling for chair and then exhaling for the back awakener. And just make sure the shoulders are never rising up towards the ears. We're trying to awaken the muscles that actually pull the shoulders down without being rigid. And the next time you're in chair, shift the weight into the right foot. Keep the hips square. Glide the left foot back, and then slowly lower the left heel so the toes are mostly forward. Walk the right foot over to the right as much as you need to stand in Virabhadrasana 1. Lengthen the strap down and press evenly into both feet. Find your neutral spine and slowly start to bend into the right knee. With your next exhale, float the arms forward, and they might not make it all the way up. Gentle traction between the hands. And now start to explore by drawing figure eights with your wrists. Notice how the movement of the arms relates down into the low back, into the hips even. Anything is fair game. You can rotate the body. We've done a lot to wake up the core, to wake up the shoulders, and I want this to almost be like a full body massage. If you're wanting a little bit more, like your body is craving something more powerful, you can shift forward into a Virabhadrasana 3 and press the strap into the legs like we did in the back strengthener. We're just going to take a few more moments to explore whatever is useful. If the shoulders are getting tired, you can relax them down to the hips. You could take a moment in Parsvottanasana to just soften through the spine. So we've got a few different options, and each of you is different. So give yourself permission. This is sort of like the culmination of all the work that you've done, and there's no rules. There's no goal besides you are in your body having fun. And before we do the second side, take a moment to pause in Virabhadrasana 1. Lift the back heel, step forward, wear your strap like a scarf, and just be in Tadasana. You might have extra warmth in the shoulders. With the eyes closed, see if you can actually feel where the arms are in relationship to the body, where the collarbones are, so that's the front of the shoulder girdle, where the shoulder blades are. And then as you breathe and the rib cage moves dynamically, let that bring awareness to the underside of the shoulders from all directions. And then push down into the right foot to lengthen the left shoulder up and back, so spiral through the whole body, and then push down through the left foot to go the other way, and be as soft and gentle as possible with the shoulders. We really want to give them a break. Take a few of these almost like armless backstrokes. And then come to center and bounce through the whole body. And to make sure you're bouncing enough, you have to Om and make sure that it is quivering. Om. And then you can do this for as long as you want. It really has so many health benefits. It's great for your fascia, it's great for your lymphatic system, but whenever you've had enough, you can come to stillness. Oh, I see some jumping happening. That's always on the table. On the trampoline, I like to swing my arms as I jump. Yes, I love trampolines. And then, the cardio really makes it have an end point, doesn't it? Oh, that's cool. Satyam's doing some neck stretches with this strap. We have to do the other, well, we could do this for a moment before we do the other side. Make a little cradle for your occiput. That's the bulbous part at the back of the skull where the neck meets the skull. Be really gentle with the arms because I'm trying to give your arms a break between the second side. But then let the head gently drop back into the strap so it catches it like a cradle. And then pulling the strap a little bit to the left and right will massage the suboccipital muscles. Doing anything that feels good is on the table here. Wow, great idea. Part of me is like, let's just skip the second side. But we've got to do it, y'all. We do, okay? So we'll keep it simple, though. And if you want to choose to just massage your neck the whole time, that's fine. So grab the strap, relax it in front of you. Take one moment to find your Tadasana. Breathe and feel the three-dimensional support rising up to support your shoulder girdle. The more your shoulders are supported from below, the more the neck and upper shoulders can relax. It's like a secret. Start to bend the knees, reach the hips back, float the arms forward. Be gentle here. Heart breath. Shift the weight to the left, slide the right foot back. Let the right heel lower, hips are square, back toes are mostly forward, equal weight in both feet. Left foot can walk over to the left. I like to do that. Neutralize your pelvis. And then slowly start to lift the arms overhead, bend the left knee. Virabhadrasana 1. You can just stay here and breathe. If the shoulders are tired, slide them wider on the strap. I think that will be easier. Actually, that feels really good. Let's all try that. Bend the elbows a little bit. And now start to push into the right foot. And notice how the whole right side of the body opens, just like we did in our lunge earlier. Push into the left foot. Notice what happens through the left side of the body. And now you can start to explore that figure 8 action. Anything's on the table here. My goal is for you to feel the connection between your core and the movement in the shoulders and the arms. To feel your breath. To feel your heart. Remember, some other options are to take a little break for the arms and the spine in Parsvottanasana, to sweep the arms back, catching the belly with the strap in Virabhadrasana 3, trying to wake up the triceps and the lats a little extra, just like we did in standing. And so we'll take several moments to play and explore, and once you've had enough, you can go back into the neck massage. Ooh, you can do that in Vira 1. That's cool. So this is playtime. You can do whatever you want. You can bounce and do those ohms. And once you've had enough, and it doesn't have to be right now, we'll meet. Where should we meet? We'll meet all the way seated. So take your time, keep playing, but just I'll know, like, okay, you've had enough when you're sitting. and enjoy the steps along the way. I see some shoulder circles happening. I see some bouncing happening. This is your body, literally your soul's home for this lifetime. So it's like you call all the shots. That was really cool. People are still settling into their seat. It was really nice to see each of you inhabit your body, and sometimes it's hard for things to be open-ended, but it really seemed like everyone had something they wanted to explore. And we are going to do Savasana. You can pause your music, but before we lay down, I just want you to experience your spine upright. Experience what it feels almost like a football player, like how your shoulder pads just land right on top of the body. Notice how your shoulder girdle is just resting on the rib cage. Notice if there's any extra space in the chest, or if the shoulders feel a little more supported in the back. Notice the angle of the arm bones in the socket. Sometimes they're rotated a little more in, so you might feel like, oh, they're rotated in a different direction. Maybe it's easier to have the palms face up in the lap. And just take a couple of breaths to inhabit the space of your body. And then reach the fingertips to either side of the body and gently turn the head to the right, and turn the head to the left, and just notice the sensations in the neck. And come back to center and lower. Instead of thinking about lowering an ear, think about lengthening the opposite side of the neck and side body. Do that a couple of times. If you want a little bit more here, I really enjoy as the head comes over to the left, reaching the right arm out, bringing the back of the right hand to the low back, and breathing through the right side of the neck and shoulder and arm. You can gently push the hand into the back to engage that. And try to feel how the core is supporting the neck. If you notice the head is dropping a lot, try to feel like more of the length is coming from the side body. Great adjustment, Jay. That was awesome. Hopefully that like support feels nice on the neck. Cool. Thumbs up. It is okay to look down at the left shoulder and then come back a couple of times. That's that shearing movement that we explore in our side bends and so many other poses. And then tent the left fingertips, slowly coming back up. Release the right arm and just witness the right side of the body. And we'll do that same thing on the other side. So beginning by lengthening through the left side of the body, anchor the left sit bone down. Imagine the left side of the body almost like a rainbow, reaching and spreading out the crown of the head, one end of the rainbow, but way less curved, I guess, than an actual rainbow. And again, try to feel support on both sides of the neck. And then reach out through the left arm. Flip the palm behind you, bring the back of the hand to the low back, and gently press sacrum and hand together. Breathe. Make sure the arm isn't internally rotating and you're not feeling any pressure in the front of the left shoulder as you do that. Or I mean, it's slightly internally rotating, but just make sure it's not pinching, rather. And then if you want to add the shearing, you can gaze up and down. Sort of like shaking your head no, but way more fun. And then come back to center. Let yourself be. So for Shavasana, 2 options. Classic Shavasana, just roll up the blanket underneath the knees. We do have a strap, we do have blocks. So if you want a little bit of inversion in your Shavasana, you can stack your blocks long and place your blanket over the blocks. Let's see how this is going to work. Place your legs up on the blocks, and then the strap is so that the legs don't want to fall off. So you'll actually make a loop in the strap and place them. I like it just above my knees personally. That's what feels the most secure for me. And if you don't have an actual strap, I think you could probably take your scarf, and hopefully it's not a nice scarf, and you can like tie it in a loose knot. Feel free to dim your lights, put any warm layers on. If your strap is long enough, you can use the tail of your strap as an eye pillow. It really is a game changer, especially because it looks like it's daytime for all of you. It's definitely daytime in Hawaii. And whenever you've got that set up, feel free to roll up the end of the blanket closest to you as like a nice little support for the knees. I really like to have my knees bent. And then take your time laying down and just assume you're going to have to wiggle around. Just assume you're going to have to kind of like a cat or a dog circling like 7 times before they lay down. You're going to have to make your adjustments and get really cozy. And then make sure that the strap is tight enough that you can relax your legs completely. They're going to externally rotate slightly, naturally, and the strap's going to catch them. And then we don't need to be forceful here, but I invite you to play with a neutral pelvis. And again, the spine still has its natural curves. It's not flat. You're not pressing the low back into the floor. But the spine is long. The curves are long and spacious. See if you can tuck the chin. You can even bring the hands to the base of the skull where the strap was earlier and pull the hands back towards the wall behind you, tucking the chin even more, and then placing the head back down. Wiggle the shoulder blades a few times, walk them down the back, but again, not rigidly. They don't need to be anchored to the shoulder, to the rib cage. You just don't want them sliding up. And then once you've found physical body support, start to let your awareness shift to the breath. And then let the breath start to take you towards the heart. And I know each of you is in a more relaxed state than you were 70 minutes ago. And so notice if it feels easier to watch the breath without changing it. Notice if it feels easier to let the breath interact with the heart. And letting the breath be this natural. Allow the inhale to help you feel more expansive. You don't have to change anything about the inhale. It's just your awareness. And let that expansion come from that deepest part of you, the heart center. And as you exhale, feel how you can stay that expansive, but you can just become more relaxed within that expansion, as if all of your molecules were spreading out. And we'll rest here for 10 minutes, and I invite you to play with the heart breath in the most relaxed way possible. Let yourself be. Feel the breath. Feel your heart. And if it feels right for you, you can take a few audible exhales and just imagine any last bits of tension dissolving from the body. Naturally, effortlessly, and on your own time, let your body start to animate. And take your time. Enjoy the process. And I'm going to begin chanting. You can take as long as you want to stay where you are. You're welcome to join me. The words are all just Om Namah Shivaya. Musicians in the room, you're welcome to participate with instruments, but you don't have to. And this will take us through to the end of class. Om Namah Shivaya. 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 Om Namah Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. We have a couple of minutes to absorb, and I invite you to not do anything and just let your awareness rest at the center of the heart as you breathe, and just observe. And just let yourself be exactly as you are. Notice if there's any layers of tension that can effortlessly dissolve if you just give them the opportunity. And feel yourself experiencing your true spacious nature. Thank you for practicing. Namaste. Well, that was my favorite yoga class ever. I hope it was your favorite too. For anyone watching this in the future, if you loved it, sign up for the Rise training. Great to see you all. I hope your shoulders and your whole body and your heart feel great. If you discovered something new about any of those things, I'd love to hear it. Otherwise, see you next time. Aloha.